Yeah, hello. So as Dr. Willie mentioned, my name is Adam Jefferies, and so my presentation will be about music for gaming. And so as an MMP major, I've learned to like mix, be creative, and I really like to learn new programs and figure out like how to use them and that kind of thing. And so the reason I started looking at Ball State was because I really wanted to be an animator and animate things for video games, and I remembered that I can't draw. So so I found the MMP department and thought that might be a good way to finagle myself into the gaming industry. And even though that's kind of taken me down a different path, I kind of found this program that's let me kind of come full circle in a sense. And so my project is basically, so I've created a prototype of a video game and have written all the music for it. I've written 6 pieces, and so let me dive into it. So this is RPG Maker. This is the program I'm using. Basically, RPG Maker is a Japan-made program that allows the user to basically make a top-down role-playing game. And this can be used for computer or mobile devices. And so what I'm about to show you is like kind of in the early stages of building this. And so the story that I have currently is basically angels and demons using humans to fight a war on Earth. And so RPG Maker kind of runs off of JavaScript code. So you don't really have to know JavaScript code, though, to be an effective developer using this program. They use a system called eventing, which allows the user to like set up and define variables, set movement routes, display animations, like manage plugins, that kind of thing. So here are some pictures of the program itself, things that I've done with it. And so as I said before, I've written 6 compositions that represent like different areas, people, and like situations. And so I use MuseScore to write out and plan my music. And then once I finish that, I export all of the individual instrument parts as MIDI files. And I take those MIDI files and I then import them into Logic and assign all of those MIDI parts with virtual instruments. And I do a quick mix and I bounce that and I throw it into Audacity. And Audacity is used to find loop points in the music, and loop points basically are, so you don't know how long a player is going to be in a certain area or like leave the game running for something. And so it's really jarring for the music to end and start again, so you need the music to loop continuously and fluidly without any kind of like interruption. Once there, you take that and you throw that into the game, and so this is kind of an example of what I've done so far. And so obviously what I showed you is like a really early kind of pre-alpha footage of what I've done. And so in the future, I plan to finish the story. I've written out the story to a point where the game opens up. And I plan to finish the maps in the game world, as you saw, which is where the player can walk around. I also plan to add some side quests, which are additional content to the story. It allows the player to do something else if they feel like they want to. And then RPG Maker has also made it really easy to network with other people who are using the program. And so I plan to use the forum system is set up specifically so that you can network and meet people who are doing the same thing that you are. And so you can meet them and like work with them and collaborate and get feedback from people who are using the program and know the program better than you. So yeah, thank you.
Hi, my name is Alex Rodriguez, and my project is called Parallel Performance. So to start off with, I'm a senior here, obviously, but I focus mainly in studio recording and live audio. I have a very balanced set of skills with each of those, and I wanted to find a way to create some kind of content that really stimulates just my mind and my skill to build something of similar like this. So I've taken a bunch of classes and all that other kind of stuff. I do a lot of extracurricular based in live sound, and I really wanted to figure out a way to do this. And one of my favorite things on the internet right now is a program called audiotree.tv, which they bring in big names into a little studio in Chicago, and they film them, and they make little videos and stuff like that, and they put it on YouTube, and I see it everywhere throughout social media and Facebook. And so I'm kind of behind on my PowerPoint here, but the reason why I chose my project is because of the studio and the live audio portion. These are all snapshots of, obviously, me in the studio, in Studio 2 over here, and this is from a performance where I recorded band live at Be Here Now through IPR, The Scene. And so Parallel Performance is actually a partner project. I'm working with my partner, Sean Alvarez, who is my video director and kind of program director on that point. So what we want to do is bring live music into a controlled studio environment to make the two mediums a parallel, which kind of brings the name Parallel Performance. And we're bringing in local artists from all over the Midwest. We also have a band from New Jersey that I met through The Song, which is a TV show that was shot here, and I worked as a part of that. I don't have any video, unfortunately, because that's more of Sean's thing, and I'm trying to focus on the audio portion of it. But here's a little screenshot of it. We recreated their set in Soundhouse C. We mic'd it up professionally, but with kind of live sound in mind. So we used live sound, quote-unquote, microphones that you'll find at a typical venue. And then it's from the band American Arson. And 2 weeks ago, we brought in Kaitlyn from New Jersey, and this is a little audio clip from the performance that we had there. Drop the verse. It's going down, facing Black Street. The homies got every clap creation. Funk like Gavin, no doubt. I put it down, never slouch. As long as my credit could vouch, a dope couldn't get the same. Tell me who can stop what you're making moves. Attracting honeys like a magnet, giving them orgasms with my mellow accent. Still moving this flavor with the homies Black Street and Teddy. The original rock shit, sure they get down. Good Lord. And so ideally what we want to do is create a medium for the artist to have some kind of promotional material without making a music video or having to spend a lot of money doing all that stuff. So our plan is to release everything via YouTube that is in a full session version, a full 25-minute performance, and then split into individual songs that they can use for their Facebooks and Twitter and whatever else they want to do. And we're currently working on something where we can put them up on their personal band camps and stuff like that, so they can use that as either merchandise, or they can sell it, or just give it away to their listeners who want to listen to it, really. So that's the one half of Parallel Performance, and thank you so much.
Good afternoon. My name is Ian James, and for my capstone project, I decided to do compositions for drone footage. I include in my portfolio of skills mixing, mastering, and MIDI composition. You might be asking why I chose such an obscure topic, and it's because the drone industry has grown fourfold over the past 3 years. It's now a $2 billion industry, and Bloomberg predicts that it could be over $120 billion by 2020. So with that in mind, drones can be used for many different applications, as you can see, and each could benefit from original film scores. I'd like to show you a few video clips now of drone footage. The first will be the original, and then the second will be my version. Actually, there's only one comparison, and then there will be 2 clips that I did. So here's the original composition. I'd like to see what you hear. Now, I don't know what you heard, but to me that didn't really make sense. The music was kind of too energetic for the video clips we were seeing, and it didn't make sense with the video and the transitions, etc. So, I would like to show you my video clip, or my composition to the same video clip. So I don't know what you heard, but I tried to make it sound more peaceful, giving the viewer maybe more confidence in their choice to go to Ball State if this was what that was used for. If this was a promotional video, I think the second composition might have a more positive effect on the audience. The second video I created the composition for, I just tried to make it very energetic, driving and keeping with the pacing of the drone itself in this particular clip. So I tried to keep the viewer's attention by matching the pacing of the drone with the composition itself. And then this last clip, I tried to make the music seem more secure, driving, and youthful, chic with the kind of time-lapse video that you'll be seeing here. So my hope for this would be that we can create a site where drone users can come, meet with composers for original scores, because with copyrights being more and more strict, videos are being taken down off YouTube, etc. So I think custom music not only matches original scores or original video better, but is better so for legal reasons as well. Thank you.
Okay, my project was producing jam tracks, which I'll then put on a website for people to access. I picked this project because it gave me an opportunity to use a lot of my portfolio skills, such as songwriting, recording, mixing and mastering, a little bit of web design and social media marketing, and guitar playing. And I personally enjoy practicing with jam tracks, and thought other people would like to too. And the other cool thing that I think is that it gives people a product that they could use in multiple ways. Another cool thing is it gave me an opportunity to write, arrange, and record a variety of styles of music, which you can see up here. Basically, the pre-production was me sitting in my living room writing all these tracks, probably annoying my roommates. I arranged them all in notation software and then put them up on noteflight.com, so when I have my website up and running, it will be easier for people to access them. I could just share a link, and nobody has to download any software to access the music. Another part of my pre-production was studying a little bit and looking at what Jamie Aebersold has done. If you don't know Jamie Aebersold, he's kind of like the authority on jazz education and improvisation. He's developed a series of, I think, 133 play-along albums and books. And the big difference between his and mine is that his is all jazz, while mine is a variety of styles. I was also able to email him and ask him a couple questions. I asked him mostly about how he promotes his tracks, how he got started making tracks like these, and also what people use them for. The production, I recorded everything here in the studios, the MMP studios. I recorded all the instruments separately so that I could bounce different versions of the mixes for people that play different instruments, which I'll show you right here. So the first is a full band mix. So if you want to practice playing with a full band or practice improvising over something, you can do that. The next is bass and drums. So if you play a chordal instrument like guitar or not this song, this is the hard rock one, but if you play piano or something, you can practice playing along with just the bass and the drums. Oh, I guess I went too far. How do you go back?
Swipe back over to the left. And
Okay. So this one would just be the bass and the drums. The next one would be chords and drums. So if a bass player wanted to play along with them, I've taken the bass out of the mix. And the last is offering for drummers, if they want to play along with a track that doesn't have the drums in it. I provided a mix with the bass and the chordal instruments and the melody, and a click track so they could stay in time and stay on beat. And the rest of my project will be distribution and making the website, which I'm in the process of doing now. I'm making it using WordPress. This is a very kind of basic prototype that I made just coding with HTML. And I've already purchased the domain name jellytracks.com because all the good jam track names were taken. But yeah, I'll be doing that and then promoting it for the rest of the semester leading up to graduation. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cory Runyon, and my project was on a music production and a live music venue. My portfolio of skills includes live audio engineering, networking, recording engineering, managing and booking shows, and my long-term goal is to open up a live venue. And becoming the music manager at a local venue gave me an opportunity to learn a little bit more about the industry, and gave me an opportunity to give back to the community and without having to give a whole lot of financial risk. And these are a couple flyers I made to help promote some of the shows. I ran live sound for 5 different shows this semester so far. The first had 10 different bands come through in a weekend. This is a picture of Chris Hosier. He's an up-and-coming artist who performs a newer genre called hip-hop. It's country and hip-hop fused. This is a picture of Dreams of Sorrow from a show we had on the Valentine's Day. This is a picture of my band, and we also played that same show. And I have a sample track of where somebody took a video with a phone, and I actually recorded the show, and I did a mix down and replaced the audio, so we'll see that here in a minute. My role in my band, I'm the leader of the band. I write the songs, and I play guitar and sing. And main point with the sample I was going to give you with the phone recording is because usually when you record with a phone, you have localization problems. Usually somebody's not in the right part of the room to get a good mix of the sound. Not only that, you know, phones don't really pick up the best audio you can hear anyway. So I did a multi-track recording. This is the phone audio you hear, and it'll switch to the multi-track. And this is another clip for another song I'm going to be working on for at the final conclusion of this project. I'll be making an EP or with a few songs from some of these shows.
Who would have thought this was something that I'd ever do? I'm mellowing out now, working it out on you. And you take back the wheel.
And this is the last example I have for you guys. And like I mentioned, in this coming month, I will create an EP with about 2 songs from each of the bands. I'll be promoting the recordings, and I plan on continuing at least until the end of the school year as to help out with the bar that I've been doing this at called the Punk Cowgirl. Thank you.
Hello everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Dustin Burks. Now for my project, I did a guide to career options in music products with more of a focus with Sweetwater's retail sales. Now the reason I did this was because, like most MMP students, they come here looking to be a big-time recording engineer, mixing engineer, whatever. So, like myself especially, I realized that maybe it'd be best to sort of create a plan or a PDF is what my end result will be, with a website on kids that are in college or approaching college that are getting into MMP that maybe aren't familiar with the different jobs that are out there. So over the last 4 years, I've gained a lot of experience with recording and music, not just technology, but as a whole. Some of my more important portfolio skills, I would say, recording, producing, such as mixing, mastering, editing, a lot of the gear and products, musical knowledge such as music history, theory, sight and ear training. Now for the first one, as obviously I said, focused more on Sweetwater. Here's some of the people that I've interviewed so far at Sweetwater. I plan on trying to get a few more people. The great thing is they're always looking to try to hire qualified sales engineers, as it's a great position that's growing and in need. Another big one at Sweetwater is Guitar Center. I wanted to see, I'm kind of looking at these different companies to see the career opportunities that these companies have, such as like turnover rate and just what would be best for upon graduating student. And then the other side is more of, as you probably heard of here, Sight and Sound, Muncie Music Center. I'm trying to interview some of the owners and managers there to see like their turnover rate, since they're more of a locally owned, smaller business, and see the career opportunities that they have as compared to a bigger Sweetwater Guitar Center. And lastly, these are just some of the main jobs that I have listed. Obviously, retail sales engineers, such as like a store sales, the phone sales engineer, which is big as Sweetwater, like I mentioned, a product rep or installer aggregator. And again, this is just a quick and shortened version of what I'll be talking about later in the semester, going more into depth. Like I said, creating a website and a PDF of a more precise guide to help either incoming college students or post-graduating students try to find different jobs and careers in music retail. Thanks.
Hello everybody, my name is Kaitlyn DelleDonne. So some of my skills include music production, music composition, piano performance, as I've been playing piano for about 16 years now. I have a business background with 2 minors in entrepreneurship and marketing. I love collaborating with other people. I have improved my communication and networking skills through my internships in the music industry, as well as in sales classes here at Ball State. And last but not least, I love film score. This said, I am composing a film score recital. Since before I can remember, I have loved film score. I grew up with the Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack, and I've been a huge fan of Hans Zimmer and similar composers ever since. This summer, I had an internship in Los Angeles with the TJ Martell Foundation, and one day while I had a day off, I was able to visit Duotone Audio Group, which is a film score company based in Manhattan and Los Angeles. After experiencing a day in the life of a film score composer, I decided that I wanted to apply to graduate school for film score. This said, my recital will demonstrate my whole portfolio as well as demonstrating different elements of film score. So here's my program. The Darth Vader death scene will represent intricate score work. The Coca-Cola commercial will represent diversity of music in a graduate application. Walks in the Rain will represent student collaboration with the telecommunications department, as well as live performance by me on the piano. Pirates of the Caribbean will demonstrate percussive work in an action scene. Take Me Home will represent Foley in an animation, and here is a brief preview with some of my original work with some Foley. And last but not least, I have my Man of Steel movie trailer, which will exhibit live recording. The clip you're about to see today does not have any live recording yet. In 2 weeks from now, I will be recording a large SATB chorus in Coral Hall. I have about 40 participants so far, and it's growing. So yeah, in this clip right here, you will see this will be where the chorus will be. So I hope you enjoy it, and thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Today I would like to share with you a simple idea that revitalizes the storytelling genre in a fun and entertaining way. I have spent the last 4 years learning about audio and have found that I possess several strengths. I'm very passionate about live recording and also live sound. So when brainstorming ideas for my capstone, one thing that stuck out for me was from my childhood. I remember listening to audiobooks in the car with my parents and being captivated as the stories allowed my imagination to run free. I wanted to capture the essence of that short story on my own, but I found myself stuck with the notion that I'm not a very good writer. But I still wanted to do it because it was something that I felt this childhood connection to. Another key element that I had to consider in this project was that my capstone was meant to show off achievements, but were also supposed to benefit the general public. So what if I found a local writer and worked with him or her to realize this story together? I would get an original story and the writer would get exposure. I always liked listening to this audiobook as a child. It's The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and it combined narration, music, and sound effects. So I chose to produce an audiobook using a story by my brother because he shared this same absurdist sci-fi aesthetic. For the narrator, I chose father of a friend because he was available and he had radio voice experience and a longtime pastor. So the overarching music of the story is selections from Johnny Cash tunes and Disney World theme music. and is therefore all under copyright, which gave me the unique challenge of having to compose original tunes that remind listeners of those tunes without being exact copies. After the soundtrack was layered in, it came time to add Foley. Foley is all of the bells and whistles of the production. For Foley to be successful, it has to capture the essence of what that sound is. So this excerpt is from the final scene. You'll be able to hear all of the layers working to make a finished product.
Abel stood upon a road of whites and silvers. Simple, elegant buildings lined the road so close to each other they acted as bricks in a wall. The building's windows emanated a glow rather than reflecting it, giving warmth to the sky rather than taking from it. The glass was framed in silver that seemed to shrink and grow with the dancing of the light, like waves catching the moon's image, splitting it into a bright web. Abel stomped feeling into his numb legs and took it all in as color returned to his face. The radiance trickled down his eyelashes and dripped into his eyes, leaving cool puddles of light in his pupils.
This project has taught me a lot about the process of making audiobooks. I've been able to explore my creativity and help a writer in the process. Because of this, I have found that this is something that I would consider doing as a profession. There are writers everywhere that are desperately trying to have their stories published. To be able to make a podcast where their stories were told in a multi-layered audio experience could help to draw attention to them and give the listeners some entertainment that is truly worth their time. Thank you.
Alrighty, hello everybody. My name is Myron, and today I'm here to present you a guitar synthesizer I have developed in Reactor. So to get you started, my portfolio of skills, as you can see, I'm a guitar player. I have a lot of experience with just various audio recording softwares, like especially Reaper and Pro Tools, and maybe even Studio One a little bit. And I also have experience with designing programs in Max MSP and Reactor. So the reason why I decided to do this project is I really didn't want to have to buy a whole bunch of pedals. I mean, I work in the box, and as you can see, if you want to deliver a sound of a synthesizer, you're going to either need to buy a larger rack unit or you're going to have to buy pedals. And I had also decided to put a couple bells and whistles in there, keep it more interesting than just synthesizer sounds, have some delays and some phasers. So I had decided that I decided, since it costs thousands of dollars or, it can rack up to around there, and I already own a laptop and a guitar, I just thought, you know what, I might as well just get a copy of Reactor and do the programming myself and make the programming for the effects myself. And using the experience that I had learned from my virtual instruments class, which I had also tried to model another pedal, a delay pedal, I felt comfortable enough to design this. So this is the actual instrument here, as you can see. It's kind of daunting right now. I'm going to try and make it a little bit more visually appealing once it goes in, but I've really been beta testing and trying to make a few presets. So to create, just to start out with the first part, this is just the oscillators. You can actually draw your own wavetables within these two and save different wavetables. There's also a multi-mode filter, 2 envelope generators for both oscillators, and 2 low-frequency oscillators for both oscillators. And then this is my own effects rack that I developed within here. As you can see, you have a little bit of control with it. You have your own delay unit, a phaser unit, and a reverb unit. But before that I go into actually presenting how this sounds, my goal with this is to elaborate a lot more on the effects unit and kind of hone in on making the delay have a little bit more elaborate sounds, the phaser and the reverb as well. Then also, I plan on uploading this to the Reactor user library so people can have access to this and experience this, but also creating a web page to promote this. Once you come to the final presentation, I will also have a few file examples that have a little bit more context as to how you can use this. Here we go. So I'm actually going to present a few sounds that I have already developed. It actually does real-time pitch analysis very quickly, so I can do a lot of fast runs, but I can also have a few evolving sounds where I kind of hold a note, and the oscillator will kind of go on its own. Thank you. That's correct. Yeah, the actual pitch analysis is within the software. It does it in real time. I kind of didn't want to go too much into it because the actual unit on there, it's more so for so if you're having issues with it not being too accurate, you know. I don't mean to slow it down. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Hi, my name is Alex Knight, and today I'm going to talk to you about promoting local artists by discovering their stories and sharing them with the world. So this is kind of an example of what I'm going to do. I'm going to build a website, and here's some of the things I'm going to feature onto it. That is a screenshot of a blog post from the first studio session I had with the band I'm currently working with. I'm still working on the aesthetics of the website. It's taking me some time to kind of build it, so I'm still working on that front of it. But I'm also going to feature weekly playlists of some of the stuff I'm listening to if people are interested in just kind of taking a look of the stuff I'm into and what inspires me at the time. Here's a photo of the jazz ensemble here. Mike Tabor's in there, and interviewed them for a little bit. It was a pretty cool interview. They had some cool, insightful stuff to say about what they're working on, and that's going to be something I'm featuring on my blog. Oh, I went too far. There we go. Here is a list of some of the people I've interviewed so far, and I'm going to try and just get as many people as I can. In the future, if any good opportunities arise for people to talk to, I'm just going to go out and get an interview with them and then eventually feature it on my blog. Alex Beckman is one of the people I recently interviewed. He's a sophomore here at Ball State, and he just recently released his third solo album. And here is a clip of just kind of a snippet of me talking to him about his recent release.
I was wondering, when you're writing it, is that kind of where you started? Yeah. Do you write your lyrics first, or do you kind of like jam on a few chords? What's kind of your way to go about writing things?
Okay, yeah, I do it all at once. So I write the lyrics and the music all at the same time.
So yeah, that's just a quick example. These are all going to be in podcast form on my website, but I'm also going to transcribe them all out for people who still would like to read the full interview. And they'll all be on their own dedicated page on my website, so you can see all the interviews I've done so far. And as far as production goes, Oldfield of the Newbirds is a band that I'm working with this semester. Myron and I are in the photo, even though we're not in the band. It's just one of the better photos I had of the three. And I mean, we maybe have one more tracking session left. I've already kind of started mixing the band. And at the end of the semester, probably around June actually, we're going to do a release for their album. Here's a quick sample of one of the mixed demos.
Dance my way, I'm drawn to you. You face this way because you knew my love can't be.
So yeah, that's just one of the songs that I'm working on with them so far. That's coming along pretty well. And you might be wondering what Elm City Brewing has to do with all of this. They are a new brewing company downtown Muncie, and myself and the leader of the band, Cody, have talked to the guys who own the store, and they have agreed to let us have a listening party there in June when the album comes out. And since it is a brewery, they're actually going to make a beer named after a song on the album. They have a song called Stranger Waltz, and so there's going to be a beer called Stranger Malts. So I thought that was kind of a funny, cool way to tie everything together. We'll have a listening party there, and it's just another way to promote some of the local artists here in Muncie. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon. My name is Michael Tabor. I'm a musician and a drummer, but I've also done a lot of work in construction and remodeling of spaces. And recently, in the past couple of years in college, I got really interested in physics and electronics. I actually took a physics and electronics minor. And I also got very interested in acoustics and acoustical analysis. So my senior project, I'm mostly going to be talking about comparing two acoustical analyses that I've performed during my time at Ball State. This is an example of a kind of graph you may use to decipher what kind of coloration the room is providing to a sound that you may be recording in it or listening to in it. This is actually an actual waterfall graph taken from our Studio One right behind me. And I don't have a lot of time to talk about it, but basically it gives you frequency response in time. So the x-axis is frequency, the y-axis is amplitude. So you got your peaks and valleys in frequency response, and then in the z-axis coming towards you, you could see how long certain frequencies decay. Like obviously this low end, there's a lot more energy gathering here than in the high end. So after diving very heavily into this report and analyzing all of the rooms in our studios here, I decided to analyze the space that I actually constructed myself. The House of Music Studios are recording studios that my family owns back in southwest suburbs of Chicago. We have two locations. One of which is just a music store where we teach lessons and sell merchandise. The other of which we also teach lessons and sell merchandise. But it is outfitted as a recording studio, which was 85% my doing and design. So there's the front lobby of the recording studio. Here's a floor plan of the studio. You got your control room and a line of sight right through the live room into the first isolation booth there. A lot of times we put the drummer in the live room and maybe a vocalist or lead guitar in the ISO 1, and then ISO 2 is usually used for overdubs or amp isolation, things like that. This is a picture of during construction before any of these rooms were built. That's me up there sweating, of course. And it was about a month-and-a-half long process of getting this all put together. And I was actually working full-time during this, so it was a lot of nighttime work for me, building these walls and stuff. Here's a picture of post-construction actually viewing from the mixing room into the live room, into that isolation booth right there. And this is an actual picture of me during the testing process doing the same acoustical testing procedure that I applied here at Ball State. And in the final presentation at the end of the semester, I will go much more in depth of comparing these two analyses, sort of treating Ball State University as like a somewhat control or acoustically perfect space. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than what I was able to construct with a very low budget. And then I will kind of talk about the pros and cons of the House of Music's recording studios and how I can better them over time. Because after I graduate here, I'll be moving back home and spending a lot of time there, and hopefully be able to put in some treatment, retest, and see kind of where we are and how good my acoustic skills have treated me. But at the end of the day, it's all about making music, right? So at the House of Music, it's kind of an interesting environment. We have a lot of student bands. We have about 350 students a week that come through the two different stores. And we have about 15 to 20 bands that we call rock band. And we match students of similar caliber and or interest into a band with an instructor. And they meet once a week, the 5 of them all one-on-one with the instructor. Well, not one-on-one, but 5-on-1 with the instructor. And you learn songs. About every 2 to 3 months, they perform these songs at a show. And then also every 2 to 3 months, we record them in our studio. And it's kind of more or less used as an educational process for these kids to really hear themselves. We all know that nothing is more revealing about your playing than when you hear yourself through a really nice mic and you're like, man, I wish I played that better. But anyway, so Vision and the Rhythm is one of our oldest bands at the House of Music. I can't really give you much information about them because they are minors. They're only like 16 years old. But yeah, I think you're going to be surprised to hear how good these 16-year-olds can play. This is an original song called Let Go. So yeah, that's an example of the kind of stuff that we do there. I recorded and mixed and mastered that myself, and I got to work with those kids. They were great to work with, super creative, and I really just can't wait to get back there and start making some more of that, and hopefully make the acoustics as conducive to good music making as possible. Thank you.
Take two. So my project is going to be about marketing music and making yourself an image by branding. So the skills that I've learned in my project here, I knew I could whip up an album or an EP or something like that, so I wanted to do more of an application of that. So I've been producing music for a lot of years, and I wanted to actually apply what I've been doing. So I've been working on a lot of music, probably made like 10 or 12 songs in the last couple months. I made a duo group with a girl in the MMP department named Claudia Armbruster, and so we've been working on networking in our live performance, and I've even used my primary guitar for recording for some of these original songs. So the first thing that's really important for new bands and artists in general is just go take some pictures. Just like go out there and take some pictures of professional photography, and just the most important thing is just never look at the camera when you're doing this. Just don't do it. Everyone does it, so just it's really important for this. The next part for this is to develop a logo to help brand something. So you need an image that people will recognize and just know exactly when they see your music or they see that you've released a new song, you just have that image that goes along with everything. So this is actually a progression of my own logo. It took me a while to find a designer that I liked. I actually went with an artist over a graphic designer who took the time to go through different sketches with me until we finally decided on the one at the bottom right here as a final product, and then he actually carved it into wood and then scanned it into his computer, so I gave it a very cool, natural, original look. And then after that, it's really important to apply that everywhere. So this is having it on a release, having the logo clearly visible, and start applying that to everything else in your thing. So you need to apply your pictures on your social media, all the platforms across the network to have a very cohesive image. And so the next slide here is actually a medley of some of the songs I've been working on. And through a performance, you go back and it'll start again. Through a performance from this past weekend, actually. So just go back. This goes out to you. I swear ain't no one after you. And you know kind of a taste of what kind of music we've been doing, and the next step in this process after we have our cohesive image and brand is to start marketing the music. So thank you.